All right, we're gonna be talking about living in Plymouth, Michigan. Now in this video, we're gonna cover everything you need to know before making that move. Now my goal is by the end of this video, you're gonna be able to say, okay, living in Plymouth is definitely for me, or definitely not for me. Now at the end of the video, we're also gonna show you the most expensive home sale ever in Plymouth. And if you're like me, I love to see expensive homes. I mean, who doesn't? My name is Mike Perna. I'm a local real estate agent here in Metro Detroit, and we cover all areas in Metro Detroit. And we get calls each and every day from great people just like yourself looking to purchase a home or get a home on the market. I'd be honored to get that call, and I've got your back for all your real estate needs. Let's get to it. So first, we're gonna talk a little bit about where Plymouth is, who the location is good for, and who it's definitely not good for. So Plymouth is just to the west of Detroit, right here on the map. And for the people that it's an ideal location for are people that have to fly a lot because the airport is only like 20 miles away. And we also get a lot of families that work specifically with automotive, like Ford Motor or General Motors, that buy in Plymouth because it's only 22 miles to Dearborn here. And for people working downtown Detroit, is 27 miles here. Now, each of those is about 30 to 40 minutes depending on traffic. So one thing that shocks a lot of people is that there are a lot of folks in Plymouth that work for U of M Medical, or they work in Ann Arbor, but they live in Plymouth because they want a little bit of a smaller downtown feel than Ann Arbor gives you. And that's about 18 miles or 30-minute commute to the west here. Now, we do get people that relocate in for work for General Motors that are recommended to look at Plymouth that work way the heck over in the Warren Tech Center, which is over here, or any company on the east side. And I would advise people that work on the east side to consider maybe Rochester instead. And this is what Rochester and Rochester Hills looks like. Very similar small downtown feel, but Plymouth is an hour commute to the tech center, and Rochester's less than half of that. So if you're working for one of the OEMs or suppliers in Southfield or Troy, that's a long commute. And again, I would probably look at either Troy here, Rochester here, Birmingham here, or Shelby and Utica here. Next up, we're going to talk about downtown Plymouth. I'm going to break this up into sections. First section, Kellogg Park. Can't have a Plymouth video without talking about Kellogg Park. Makes up a huge part of living in Plymouth, and it's almost a triangle and is sided by Main Street to the west and Penniman cuts to the north and Arbor Trail to the south. So Plymouth uses the park to host over 130 events a year. So there's almost always something to do downtown. My favorites and my do not misses are going to be starting with the Plymouth Ice Festival, where professional ice carvers come in from all over the country. They create sculptures right on the spot, right in front of you. In fall, the other one that is my go-to, I will not miss, is Scarecrows in the Park. And that runs all of October, where local businesses dress up scarecrows, and it is super fun. Also, they've got the Walk of Trees, where dozens of Christmas trees are put up running Thanksgiving right through the new year. And that's not all. In the summer, they've got movies in the park for free. They've got yoga in the park. They've got art fairs. And of course, they've got robots in the park. I mean, this is just really cool. All right, let's talk food. One of the most important things to consider, or one of the most important things I consider when I'm moving to an area, in my opinion, and just my opinion, is great food. So here are my top 5 restaurants in Plymouth, the go-tos as voted on by the residents themselves in a very informal poll. And when I say residents, I actually only asked my director of training, who lives downtown Plymouth, and a couple of real estate agents that are on the team that also live in Plymouth, and I think are experts because, you know, they got pretty good taste. All right, so we're gonna start with the Sardine Room, which is a seafood-focused restaurant, modern upscale vibe. They've got oysters and small plates and craft cocktails. Fiamma Grill, which is an upscale American steakhouse, and it also has some good seafood dishes. It's a great spot for special occasions. Nico and Valley Italian Eatery, which is one of my favorites, and a local favorite for Italian food. You definitely gotta get on that wait list an hour in advance. Has both classic and modern dishes in a very relaxed setting, but there are 2 standouts that are my absolute favorite. First one is Barro Cucina y Taqueria, which is known for its modern take on traditional Mexican dishes. They have a variety of tacos, enchiladas, and fajitas. They also have an extensive tequila and mezcal section, although those are not my thing. I'm a bourbon guy myself. But my number one, and not anywhere near downtown Plymouth, is Cantoro's Italian Market. It's like a little piece of Italy in Plymouth. The market's got a wide range of Italian groceries, including cheeses and meats and wines, and that is not at all why I go there, although they do have a full, you can buy it by the gallon, a gallon of Nutella at a time. I'm not even kidding. It's a real thing. But they also have a bakery section, which is really good with fresh bread and pastries and other baked goods, of course. Both the market and the trattoria are popular spots for those looking to experience a real Italian culture and cuisine. But here's the rundown of what I'd get if I were going there for the first time to the restaurant. Number 1, the calamari. Lightly fried, served with a marinara sauce. They do a really good job with this. I know everybody's got calamari, but their calamari is actually pretty good. Number 2, the bruschetta, with fresh tomatoes, basil, mozzarella on a toasted Italian bread. And again, I know everybody's got bruschetta, but theirs is really good. Number 3, something not every place has, the gnocchi, which is, you know, house-made potato dumplings. So the thing that I personally get the most often is the salmon piccata. It's a real super simple salmon fillet and a lemon caper sauce. You can't go wrong. But if you're feeling adventurous, get the Osso Buco. It's a slow cooked veal shank, often served with either risotto or vegetables. And again, they changed it up every once in a while, so read the menu. The Diavola pizza, if you're going for a pizza, that's the one with the hot peppers. It's got a kick to it, but not overly spicy. I just happen to like spicy taste myself. And there are 3 ways to finish this thing up. Number 1, the tiramisu. Do a great job with it. It's tiramisu, but they do a nice job. Number 2, cannoli. You know, the cannoli is gonna be good. We know this, right? Both made in-house, by the way. Number 3, the gelato. And they usually have like 20 different kinds of gelato. Also, and I'm not a big wine guy, but I've been told that the wine list is really good, curated from Italy, a little bit from up north Michigan and Napa Valley. So if you're a wine person, apparently they've got a pretty good wine list, and that's pretty cool. So probably the number 1 question I get from the parents section for people that are moving to Plymouth are, what are the schools like and are they any good? And frankly, if I had kids at that age, I'd be asking the same thing. So we're gonna dive into it. So a little background, Plymouth is served by the Plymouth-Canton School District, which has over 15 elementary schools, 5 middle schools, and 3 high schools. But that's not how the schools are, right? So let's look at the rankings themselves. First up, niche.com offers letter grades from A+ down to F using categories like academics and teachers and clubs and activities for the kids. Schools in the Plymouth-Canton School District receive grades ranging from B+ to A+ depending on the year. Gradeschools.org uses a scale from 1 to 10 based on factors like test scores, graduation rate, and student growth. Students in the Plymouth-Canton District usually score well above average, ranging between 7 to 9 out of a possible 10. U.S. News School Rankings evaluate schools nationally and by state based on metrics like college readiness, state test scores, and graduation rates. Plymouth-Canton high schools are in the top tiers, aka what they consider the top 10% of all schools both on the state and the national levels. Now, School Digger, which provides a numerical ranking based on student-to-teacher ratios, test scores, and other factors, Plymouth-Canton schools generally are in the top 2 tiers out of 8. So Public School Review, which I actually don't have a ton of familiarity with this specific website, they offered a star-based ranking based on reviews, but also includes statistics and qualitative data that gives more of a holistic view of the school, has Plymouth-Canton schools in the top 5% of the nation. A few more quick stats on the schools before we move on. Enrollment. There are 16,000 students in the Plymouth-Canton School District. That's a lot of kids. Like, I could not be a teacher in that district. That's just a lot of children. Like, I like children, but like, that's egregious. Student to teacher ratio is at 17 to 1, which I think is pretty good, right? I mean, I don't know. I'm not, counting all the kids and the students in every district, but 17 to 1 sounds decent. Graduation rate, 92%, which is the top 10% in Michigan. Now, my source for this one is the National Center for Education Statistics, the NCES, and the Michigan Department of Education. So last but never far out of my mind, at least, is houses and real estate, which I love. Okay, we're gonna look at a couple of homes to see what the different price points gets you here in Plymouth, Michigan. So here's the lowest home price sale in Plymouth over the last year, right here on Mark Trail. This split level at 1758 square feet sold for $178,500. It was built in 1970. Now this was a great opportunity for someone, hopefully a young couple got it, to really build in some sweat equity. Homes around it are selling from $250,000 to $310,000. I'd rather like to see my clients buy in the middle or lower end of a neighborhood than buy the best home in a neighborhood. So whoever got this one scooped up a gem. I love it. Now let's go closer to the average. Now here's one just shy of $300,000 that sold at $295,000 on Russet Lane. Now this thing is just super cute all over, right? Pre-finished basement, redone kitchen. Love that. All right, so let's go straight to the Plymouth median sales price, $420,000. And let's look at 2 very different houses because Plymouth really is 2 very different cities. So this one on Pacific sold for $400,000. Super cute, but the value's in the location. All right, so here's the house, and here's Kellogg Park, the focal point of downtown, and it's a small house on a small lot that needs, a few bits of updating, but that's downtown. That's what you get when you want to walk to downtown, right? So let's scope this one out over in Hillcrest, over in the Ridgewood neighborhood. It's over $420,000 on the button, and it's way out there off a ridge. Not a bad thing. It's a great area, and I helped over a dozen families move into or out of Ridgewood, but we're definitely not walking to downtown from here. For about the same price as the one in Hillcrest, it's 2.5 times bigger. The lot's also 2.5 times bigger. It was built in 1979. It does need some updating for sure, but at $173 per square foot, it's a way different value for this home. So this one over in Glenmore Corp is a prime example of what $600,000 gets you roughly. It's 3,200 square feet. This one was built in 2000. It has an unfinished but very large basement. It's a 3-bedroom. It's in Heather Hills right here, just west of Beck Road. Next stop, right to $1 million. Now this home I personally love for a lot of reasons on Urban Street. It's in the Blount district of downtown Plymouth, and scope it out on the map. This was the executive section of Plymouth, built in the 1950s, and it shows. So this one was built in 1950, like right on the button. It has a double wide lot at 100 feet across, and it's also deeper than normal at 129 feet. So it ends up being almost a third of an acre, which is really unusual for downtown Plymouth. But check out that pool area. So the pool, this kitchen, the finished basement, 4 blocks from downtown. Yes, please. Like, how can you pass that up? And finally, my favorite home, the most expensive Plymouth home to sell in the last year. Here we go. Okay, so to be fair, I did reach back like a few extra months for this one because it is my favorite house in Plymouth. I didn't want to pass it up. It definitely, I thought, was deserving to be in this section because it is my favorite house in Plymouth over on Mystic Forest. It's a completely custom built home here off of Ridge on 2.26 acres at 9,980 square feet. I have no idea what I would do with that room, but I wouldn't say no to it. It has a super contemporary design, and I mean, look at these photos. It sold at $1.85 million, and that entryway, that 4-car garage, and there's a gym. And with that private lot, they put a ton of windows in. Like, they took a lot of liberty with the windows, which I love. And that master closet is actually bigger than my bedroom. It's got a shoe room. Oh my God, it has a room only for shoes. Well, that's a great place to end. My name is Mike Perno, local real estate agent here in Metro Detroit. If I can be of any service to you guys, we get calls every day from people looking to move into and around Metro Detroit. I'd be honored to get the call, and we've got your back.